All right. Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. Thank you so much for taking out your time to attend this very interesting session we have today with two very interesting speakers and who will tell you all about all that you need to know about our data science and machine learning programs. I hope you're having a good time. Let me know if you can see and hear me and the other speakers. Put a hi in the chat box. Let us know where you're joining us from.
Hey everyone.
All right, I can't see a hi. I hope we are audible. Meanwhile, while you just figure out, just setting things up on the Zoom platform, let me launch a poll to understand a little more about you, what your years of experience are like, and what is the outcome you're expecting from today's session so that we can customize it as per your needs. Okay. Are you able to see it? Oh, thanks. Hi, Krishna. Hi, Aishwarya. Thank you so much for validating that you can see and hear all of us. Are we seeing some people voting? All right. Voting for about 50% of you to vote. Shashwat, Kaustubh, I hope you're able to see the live results.
Yeah.
Great. So far, most people are interested in how upGrad will help folks propel in their careers. Thank you so much for selecting that option. We will ensure that we try covering it in our conversation. And if not, please feel free to ask questions at the end of the session. The way we go about this is for the next 25 minutes, you hear from the speakers of the session, and the remaining 30-35 minutes are open for questions from all of you. So we've got ample amount of time to answer everybody's questions. Leah, I see you raising your hand. Please try typing down your query, or I'll pick questions up from everybody after the speakers are done presenting. All right. That said, let me introduce to you the speakers of today. Shashwat, who is the Learning Experience VP at upGrad, and he takes care of everything that involves the way you learn, the way you interact with your peers, and how you can make out the most from the entire learning experience at upGrad, from industry mentors, from professors, and any help that you need in making the most of these programs. The second speaker is Kaustubh. He heads the vertical of data science from a content standpoint. He ensures you learn the most relevant content in the fields of the two technologies which are emerging and blooming with jobs right now. And with that, let me have Shashwat begin the session. Let us know if you can see our screen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Medha, for the brief introduction and to get things started. So welcome everyone. I guess we have people joining us from all corners of the world, right? So good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And a very warm welcome to all of you to be a part of this webinar. So as rightly laid out by Medha, we'll keep it crisp and to the point, and in line with what you responded on the poll, we'll try and answer as many questions as we can, and hope that you at the end of the webinar have answers to most of your questions, if not all, and we'll ensure that all your follow-on questions are answered as well post the webinar, right? So as you can see on the slide, why upGrad? Before that, I'll take a minute or two to sort of tell you about upGrad. Well, I know most of you would have seen or heard about upGrad, would have done some research as well. We've been around for 6 years. We are obviously headquartered out of India. We are a unicorn, and we are India's and probably even one of the world's largest higher education tech companies. I stress higher education here because unlike some of our other peers who operate in the kindergarten to 12 space, upGrad is a company which has specialized over the last 6 years in providing higher education courses to working professionals, right? So which is actually what sort of brings us to our mission. which is about obviously democratizing education. I'll add a word, an adjective there, higher education, right, as I mentioned, and making it accessible, affordable, and relevant. Why accessible? Obviously, because we are online, right? 100% online. So you can access any course of upgrade from any part of the world at any point in time, right? That's the kind of a learning management system we have built over the last few years, right? Affordable, in line with the fact that we provide all our courses in partnership with top universities across the different parts of the world. And while the focus of this webinar is obviously on data science and machine learning, as it goes without saying, each of our programs we offer are in tie-up with top universities in India or outside India, in the world as well, right? And why affordable? Because as you will see, and as you're exploring picking up a course in upgrade, the cost you pay for doing the course, right, is way lower than what ideally you would pay when you're going to a physical college, right, to do the similar course. Uh, yeah, and relevant, needless to say, working professionals, so you don't have to leave your job. We The entire content, curriculum, and the program structure is flexible and suited to needs of your working professionals like you. And how we have done this, obviously, over the last 6 years through multiple iterations, we have, sort of arrived at the right product market fit, right? And the testimony also being that thousands of learners have graduated on upgrade across the various programs. And I would like to also specially mention that data science and machine learning was actually what upgrade started with, right? So data vertical, as we call it, is one of our oldest, the most scale program vertical we have at upgrade. And we have had thousands of learners passing out over the last 5-6 years, who have actually gone on to get wonderful outcomes in their careers as well, right? Flexibility, I spoke about. Industry relevance, yes. So we keep updating our content curriculum in line with what today's market and market landscape and career demands, right? We also have tie-up with industry leading SMEs who help us deliver the content, right, through the journey of the program. And needless to say, all our programs, including the data science machine learning program, are a good mix of async content, which you have access to on the learning platform, as well as live learning, which happens through our SMEs. And this blended learning format, again, has been mastered over the years, built by our specialist in-house content team, obviously in partnership with world-class leading, industry-leading SMEs, right? Last but not least, two things, industry mentor support and career assistance. So as I said, as part of your synchronous learning, you will have access to industry leading mentors, right? Again, personalized to your profile, the years of work experience you have, whether you come from a tech background or a non-tech background. As I mentioned earlier, we believe in democratizing higher education. So our programs are suited for learners of all forms of shape and size in that sense, right? From different work experience years, as well as from different domains as well. And lastly, career assistance. Obviously, the beauty about joining upgrade or joining a course on upgrade is it's not about just starting the program and finishing the program and walking out with a certification once you graduate. But after that, we have something called as a career phase, where actually we have specialized career coaches who actually handle you to sort of build your resume, to build your LinkedIn profile. We also give you access to job opportunities, right? And help you prep for interviews as well. That's where 360 career assistance comes into play. Yeah. Cool. Needless to say, all the years of hard work and getting the right product market fit, and the fact that thousands of learners have graduated, this slide honestly just sort of gives you a brief picture of what it has brought for us, right? We have already impacted 2 million learners, right, from all parts of the globe. We have had learners graduating on our platform on the various courses from more than 80 countries, right? We also boast industry class, world leading completion rates. You will not have any other higher ed tech company in the world with such high completion rates. 87% of our learners who start a program end up successfully completing our programs. We've got recognized on various forums, and we've got awards from all over the world, as you can see, right? Best education brand, prestigious edtech company, right? Our recent one being the Brandon Hall Excellence Award, where in fact this one is special to us because we not only operate in the B2C space, but we also operate in the B2B space. And this one we got for our work we did in the B2B space with a client of ours, right? So this honestly does not do justice to what upGrad is all about. I would urge you in due course of your decision-making process to research about us, and you'll see that we have many more accolades to our name, much more than what is displayed on the screen. So without further ado, I think it's apt that we sort of jump into the core agenda of the day, which is, knowing more about what data science and machine learning is all about. So I would request Kaustubh to sort of, take it here on. Thank you.
Thanks, Shashwat. That was a really nice introduction about upGrad. But before we go into these numbers, which are seen on the screen, right, let's first try to understand, as in how many of you have heard of some data science roles in the market or in your own company, right? So let's wait for a minute. Let's get some responses. Yeah. I think 11 of you have responded. Let's wait for a minute more. Okay, perfect. So what I see here is, if I look at the responses, right, around 70% of you have heard of data science roles in the market or in your own firm, right? Now, that is a testament to the sort of space that you're sort of exploring now in this webinar, or, planning to explore and take up the courses, right? So some very quick facts which are mentioned here, right, that the market space of data science and machine learning is going to grow to 152 billion by 2028, right? And it's not a space in itself, right? It has dependency. A lot of things have dependency on this space, right? So as things keep growing, this is going to grow even more, right? It has application across industries, right? And I'll probably in the due course, I'll cover one of the applications and help you understand what sort of roles are there in the industry which you can pursue, and how our programs by upGrad are able to cater to those roles, right? And one key thing that you would like to explore is the average earnings of a data science person is anywhere from $65,000 to a $153,000. Now, keep in mind, this is a entry level, the income that you get, right? It's not something that you get as 10 years experience in data science, right? They have much more salaries, right? Now, why is this so? Because there are a plethora of roles within data science, right? Data analyst, business analyst, and let's sort of try to understand that as we go on to the next slide, right? So can we move on to the next slide? Yeah. So if you see here, right, there are 4 different roles, right? Data analyst, machine learning engineer, data engineer, or data scientist. Now, let's take an example. Let's try to understand this using a industry use case, right? Now, suppose you're using a credit card, right? And you swiped your credit card at probably one of the grocery stores, right? And you were charged, right? You get a message that $20 was charged on your credit card. But tomorrow you see that there is another $100 charge on your credit card, right? Now, that is something which you haven't transacted and that has been charged, right? So that is a case of fraud. Now, how does a bank deal with fraud? So anytime you transact, right, and if it's not your fault and you have been charged for that, the bank is liable to pay you back, right? So that is a big loss on the bank's end. Now, bank would definitely want to solve this fraud problem, right? How to solve this fraud problem? There might be a lot of different sort of solutions to it, right? One might be a reactive solution, which is essentially you see that some point of sale place, there is a fraud. So you look at that type of data and sort of try to block those sort of point of sales. The other is a proactive, as in preventive sort of mechanism, where you build a fraud risk model, right? Now, there are different such solutions that you can explore right at the start when you have a business problem. So a business problem which is preventing fraud, right? And then you try to solve it using different methods, some of which involve data, some may not involve data, right? So that is a business understanding phase. And taking a decision whether you want to move to a solution that involves data. So that place is the role of a business analyst, right? So the person understands the business understanding and then decides whether to move on a data solution or not. So once we sort of convert that business problem to a data problem, then we go into the space of data science and data analytics, right? And there are different roles further into that. First, you try to understand what sort of data will you gather to sort of build a fraud risk model, right? So what a fraud risk model would do is essentially, when I'm transacting on any sort of point of sale or online transaction, it will automatically check whether this transaction is a fraud or not, flag it if it is a fraud, and decline the transaction or let that transaction go if it's not a fraud, right? So building that sort of model, you first need to understand where's the data, what sort of data is available to you, how you can get all that data, right? So at that place comes two different sort of roles. One is data engineer, who helps you in getting data from various different sources in real time and putting it at one place where you can do some analysis and do some number crunching, right? The number crunching and analysis on top of it is done by a data analyst, right? So we have covered three different roles until now. One is business analyst, one is data engineer, one is data analyst, right? Once you have the data present, right, you need to find some insights before you decide you want to move ahead with a model building solution, right? And these sort of analysis are really important, because a data science project usually lasts from 6 to 8 months, right? And if someone is investing in such a solution, they need to be sure that the outcome is coming up, right? So that sort of analysis is done by data analysts, and frequently they update the business team that we are moving here and we are at this stage and will complete, and these are the results that we are getting, right? So it's the work of a data analyst who does a lot of visualization, number crunching, right? Next, we move on to a modeling phase. So once we see that, there is some insight in the data and we can move forward, we then try to build better models that can predict it automatically, right? So there is somewhere data scientists come into play, who have very strong fundamental understanding of maths, algebra, calculus, right? And machine learning, right? Because the models are machine learning models that they build. Once that model is ready, you sort of evaluate it and decide this is the final model I want to deploy. And there's a very interesting piece about deployment, right? That you build a model, you can, take some data and predict something on it that, offline you can predict that this model is working well, but it has to be deployed in real time. Like I said earlier, right? That if I am transacting, it should in real time check whether the card transaction is a fraud transaction or not a fraud transaction, right? So that sort of understanding is required, and you have to deploy it in real time. And that is where the machine learning engineer comes into play, right? So that person sort of defines the whole data pipeline, right from where you have the data to how the model is built, as in the final model that is ready, how it runs, where does it run, and how it is integrated with the different other solutions that are there. Probably a place where, the final output is given to the business owner that there is a fraud transaction that has been identified. And also other place where the customer who is transacting, suppose I'm the customer, I get a message that your transaction has been declined, right? So all that integration and everything, that is the work of a machine learning engineer from a modeling perspective, right? So we have briefly understood there is a business analyst, there is a data analyst, there is a data engineer, there is data scientist and machine learning engineer, right? And they have different such, sort of skills that are required. If you see, data analyst is majorly involved with, understanding the data and number crunching. A machine learning engineer needs to have the whole data pipeline understanding. So they have, sort of all the skills that are required. And similar is a data scientist, who does it on his local laptop or somewhere, but not really in real time, right? So, and a data engineer is majorly involved in getting all the data at one place, right? So these are the different roles. And hence, since, you can see that data analyst usually has a lesser skill set, and hence that person, starts at a 70,000 or 80,000 salary, right? While a machine learning engineer or a data scientist sort of starts at 120, not the 120 US dollars, right? So that is what, this whole data science landscape is, right? And we sort of try to cover all these roles through the programs that you can see now on the screen, right? So we cater to all of this very well, and all of these programs are able to cater to different such job roles. Now, the different programs that we have, right? I would like to divide it into three different parts. One is a greater than 1 year program, which is very focused. These are master's program. So you will do a lot of, data analysis and everything. A lot of projects would be there, right? And some of these are, having thesis based programs. Some of these are capstone programs, right? You'll have a lot of capstones, you'll have a lot of projects and things like that, right? And then we have a second set of programs which are executive programs, right? Which are nearly 1 year, right? And these sort of have a similar level of depth with respect to the topics that are covered, the job roles, the outcomes that are there. It's just that towards the end, you are not getting probably a thesis that helps you to go to a master's, right? So if you are someone who just wants to get all the knowledge that's present in the industry and all the techniques that are required for a data scientist, right, you can do an executive program and directly go on to a job. But when you do a master's, right, you have a more confidence because you do more projects, more projects that you can show on your resume, right? Whether it's a Liverpool Masters or a Masters with University of Arizona, which we'll look shortly. And there is a third set of programs, which are certification programs, right? Now, these certification programs are for folks who are not really very sure if they want to actually go for an executive program where they learn a lot more in depth about each and every topic, right? So you want to maybe start off with understanding what actually is data science and want to see if you develop interest into it, right? Once you do that, you can probably then switch to an executive program. And if you like the executive program and you still want to go even further deep, right, you can go to a master's program, right? So that is the sort of transition that we look at, right? Now, let me just first talk about the data science programs that we have, right? So the first program that you see is the data science program with LJMU and IIITB, right? Now, you must be confused, right? Why there are two names in there, right? Why LJMU and IIITB? So let's try to, demystify that, right? So it's a 20-month long program with one of the top UK universities, right? And there what we have is the first year you actually go through the IIIT Bangalore program. So that has all the theoretical content, right, from basics of Python to visualization to data analysis to classical ML models to deep learning, right? And finally a capstone. And then you have a break where you can also learn some other topics which you didn't go through in your 12 months, right? NLP or some of other advanced visualization or data engineering, right? And then move on to a Liverpool John Moores University thesis, right? So that is a 6-month long thesis where you actually sort of write a thesis and publish it, right, as a paper. And as a matter of fact, many of our theses have been converted into paper and published in IEEE journals, right? So that is the sort of testament and the support that you get into this program. So if you understood it properly, it is a thesis-based program where the first year is delivered by IIITB and the next 6 to 8 months are by LJMU, right? There's one key thing here. So two key things I would say, right? One is that we have different specializations within these programs, right? The 3 specializations that we are offering are specific to 3 different target roles. Like I said, one is with respect to data analyst, one is with respect to data engineer, and the third one is with respect to data scientists with specialization in deep learning, right? So these are the 3 different outcomes that you can get just after doing a IIITB program. And if you top it up with a master's, you get the master's in data science, right? One key thing which you should note here is this program can also be taken up by non-tech learners, as in if you have no understanding of programming, you can still take up this program, because before this program starts, we give you a very thorough and very basic, starting from basics and getting you to develop that programming understanding through programming bootcamp, where we cover Python and SQL. And that is a 2-month long program which you get that helps you in, getting ready to do data science, right? So this is one such program. The second one, which is one of our top programs, is the Masters of Data Science with University of Arizona, right? So this program also starts from the basics, right? And it covers more topics, which I'll talk about. But, this is, since it covers a lot of topics like ML ops and other things, right? It requires you to have a basic understanding of programming beforehand, because it's very intensive, and since it's with University of Arizona, the sort of rigor that's required is much higher, right? You have a lot of programming assignment after every 5 weeks, right? And you need to be very up to speed with programming. So if you are familiar with programming in any language, I would suggest you take up the University of Arizona program. But if you are not confident that, I may not be able to, do a lot of programming and I want to learn first and then start the program, I believe you should start off with the Liverpool John Moores University program, right? And the other difference is, if you are very inclined towards, academic research, right? So take my example, right? When I graduated, I saw a lot of friends who went for masters and PhDs, and they're publishing a lot of papers, and I have been in this academic zone for more than 3 to 4 years, right? And I'm like, I'm doing so much research, but I'm not publishing anything, right? So if you are someone who has that sort of inclination to publish a paper on it and do some research, right, you should definitely take up the Liverpool John Moores University program, because that has a 6-month master's thesis. The Arizona program has capstones, multiple capstones, right? And the sort of topics that are covered are, the breadth and depth are much better than the others, right? So you have like R covered, right? Programming in R, and even, visualization in R. Python is the main language of instruction, right? ML, DL, NLP, machine learning operations. So once you deploy, like I said, you need to monitor that model and see when, if it would break sometime down the lane. So how do you, monitor and improve that, right? So big data, cloud, ethics, AI leadership. So there are a lot of things that are covered in this program, and it requires a lot of, rigor with respect to programming. So only take this program if you are good with programming, you have confidence with that, right? And this curriculum that has been made, all these curriculum have been made by very thorough research, right? And covers the latest skills and the technologies that are required for you to succeed in this space, right? Now, the third data science, sort of uh, program with upGrad's, which I'm going to talk about, is majorly meant for people who are, looking to make business decisions. So you are in a business role, probably head of marketing or head of sales, or even head of finance or something like that, right? Who wants to sort of implement data science solution in their role, right? So take, for example, you are in finance, right? And you want to automate the whole reimbursement process, right? So you can take up this program and try to understand how this is going to help you in improving the processes, right? So this one by upGrad's requires no coding. It's delivered in Excel and Tableau. It has a special AI leadership course towards the end that helps you in deciding what should be the AI strategy roadmap for your domain or even your company if you grow to that level, right? And all these programs will have multiple capstones. Next, like we move on to our machine learning programs. So the first one which you see is Masters of Machine Learning with LGMU. This is a similar one with LGMU and IIITB. This is similar to the one that we have in data science, right? The curriculum is different because the ML program, which has all the concepts taught. So in the data science program, you will only be able to go through a deep learning track, right? And NLP, you can probably do it after the program. In this machine learning program, you will have machine learning as well as deep learning, as well as NLP, as well as cloud and ML ops in 1 year, right? So this is also an intensive program, will require you to have fluency with programming, right? Again, since it's with LGMU, you will have a 6-month master's thesis after 1 year of IIITB. And like I said, all the programs will have multiple capstones, right? I've already described this one, which is the second one, executive program at IIITB in machine learning, right? The third one is a certification program, right? So like I said, there are three types of programs. One is a master's program, one is an executive program, one is a certification program. So certification program are majorly for the folks who are not very sure if they want to sort of go to a 12-month program, right? But there are certain demerits to this. Like if you see here, there are two tracks, deep learning and NLP, and you can only choose one track, right? So if you're very sure that you want to do just deep learning, then you should take up this program. But I would highly recommend that you at least take an executive program, because it has a lot more tools, a lot more concepts that you can cover, and more hackathons too, right? So yeah. Now, how does our programs stand out amongst their competitors, right? The first thing which I would talk about is definitely the sort of experts that we work with, right? It's ranging from experts in academia to experts in different companies like Google, Microsoft, right, Facebook, Uber. We have collaborated with all of them, and we have sort of tried to understand what are the sort of roles that are required, right? And this is not very something that we do. We sort of try to get the perspective for different regions also. It's not just based to India. It's even getting the perspective for EMEA or even US, right? So understanding what sort of roles are there, what sort of skill sets are required, right? So any curriculum that we develop, right, we have a very 360-degree understanding to develop that curriculum. We sort of try to understand the student, what is the student wanting, right? What is he or she looking at while getting a job? What sort of job the person wants, right? Then we talk to industry leaders who see where the industry is going to progress, right? So how to cover those sort of concepts. Then we also talk to the industry practitioners, right, who actually hire these students, right? So what do they look at in the interviews? And culminating all of that, we finally come up with a cutting edge curriculum, right? Apart from that, recorded lectures are one sort of thing that you go through. Apart from that, we have support that goes in parallel, right? So every week, along with recorded lecture, you will have some live element where you will interact with your peers or even industry mentors, right, through small group coachings and live sessions, right? And as you can see, it's a global program, so you'll get to interact with people all over the world, right? And that gets you a lot of perspective as in how they are solving a particular problem in their company, which is in a different domain, in a different geography, right? And because a lot of things depend on the data that you have, and the data is different in different continents, different countries, right? Because people behave differently, they have different incomes, so their trends are different, right? So networking with them and understanding all of this really helps you in building a very diverse background of data science, right? Okay, so let's move on to the next slide, right? I'll have Medha take over from here.
Thanks, Kaustav and Shashwat, for covering everything so wonderfully. I hope that answered a lot of your questions. And if you still have some, please feel free to write it in the chat box. Now, I think a lot of what Kaustav and Shashwat have already explained on why do you need to pursue an online degree, right? Or a degree which gives you this entire exposure to global peers. We've got learners from 85 plus countries. That gives you so much access to geographies that you didn't know about but would like to definitely try working in. That's the kind of exposure you want. You have it right here. You wanted to know more about learning which you can apply in your jobs, not just learn in an institute. And for some of you who are engineers here, we all know how much we can apply from our engineering days to today. I think that's barely anything, right? But these courses help you with hands-on learning. A lot of you who said that the outcome that you're expecting from today's session is to see how upGrad's programs can help you propel your career. This is where we stand out from most of the courses in the market. We ensure we are speaking to industry experts, to subject matter experts, as we like to call them, and understand from them what's really working in the industry. If you go apply for data science jobs in the market today without having a data science background at all, the first thing they'd like to see in your CV and the way the ATS functions is to see, oh, do you have things which mention that you've picked up projects in that field, right? Now, all our capstones or all our life projects are designed in a way that you get hands-on learning experience, and that in turn you can put it on your CV, and that ensures you at least make the first cut when you're applying for jobs outside. All our programs are so competitively priced, and they are such high value programs because you're getting a master's degree in less than $10,000, while the kind of education debts that are prevalent in the US and the UK developed markets, right? It goes above $100,000 for the Ivy Leagues. So this is where you get things at a very affordable price and have a beautiful quality product which you can apply hands-on learning to. We've got all the universities we partner with, we ensure they're globally recognized, and the accreditation is something that you can use even if you are transitioning from Dubai to, if you want to move to UK, right? You've got a university from the UK, and likewise, if you want it to be relevant across the globe, that's what we have. Our alumni base is very strong, and as you know, the reason why a lot of people want to go to these high-end universities is to be able to tap into that base. You have it already. We've impacted 2 million learners globally, so you have a huge alumni base to tap onto. And of course, a step closer to global opportunities, as you'd like. What's so special with our learning experience? And I know not a lot of people clicked on that option when we launched the poll, but the fact that you're getting to learn from global experts is something that's really exciting. You have these interactions on a fortnightly basis or even a weekly basis. These interactions happen on the weekend, so we ensure that you have we don't interfere with your working hours. We try to ensure that we have these sessions at 2 different times on the weekends so that you can join anytime that suits you the best. We understand that we're working with global audiences, and we want to respect your time and availability, and this is what we do when we have our live sessions or small group coaching sessions. Our small group coaching sessions are formed in a way where you are partnered with people who are belonging to the same geography or to the same work experience background, so that you can derive the maximum benefit out of it. And you also have one-to-one mentorship sessions. If you're too shy to ask questions in a live session or in a group, you have this option of having one-to-one sessions with the global industry experts who have partnered with us, and that gives you an access to global job opportunities. And that is where I'd like to end and take more questions from you. All right, I think one question from Abhishek talks about, do you have hiring partners in Europe? And to answer that question, Abhishek, we are building on to partners across the globe as we speak. Like I said, you have learners. We have learners from 85 plus countries who already are in the countries you would like to be. So in Europe, we've got learners from UK, Spain, Germany, Switzerland, and I mean, these are the predominant countries, and you've got learners from across. So if you would like to tap into job opportunities in these countries, those alumni are the ones you can definitely reach out to, and then the process can start from there. All right, I think one question is already answered by Ojas. Thank you for telling about the way to move from the ADDS program to the master's program. All of these programs are built as building blocks, like Costa was telling, right? If you do an advanced certification, you can build onto it with executive, and then you can build onto it with masters, right? So in a very beautiful way, these are built so that if you're not in it right now, you can always choose to do it at a later point in time. I think I'll direct this question to you, Kaustav. Kiran is asking, I am from a non-math background, and I heard algebra and statistics is very essential for doing these courses. Am I still good to go?
That's true. That's true. Algebra and statistics are important. And I believe, when you go out of college, even if you're from a math background, right, you sort of do not really use a lot of maths every day, right? So that is something that we know that is required by everyone, right? And especially for people who do not have a math background. So once you are able to admit into the program, you have a preparatory course on algebra and statistics. And moreover, whatever we cover, whether it's inferential stats, hypothesis, or whenever we start linear regression, right? Before that, you have, the base that is set up. You have a session on the very fundamentals of probability and statistics before you move on to some advanced things in inferential stats like central limit theorem and things like that. And similar is wherever algebra is required or calculus is required, the base is set before we move on to actually learning the concept. That issue is something which you would not face, that you do not know anything and you won't understand anything, right? But nevertheless, you should keep learning as you move forward, right? So yeah.
That's great. Satish is asking, are you looking to have hiring partners in Canada? Yes, absolutely. And if you join us, we'd definitely also see how we can partner with the current organization you're in, and also give you the prospects of the organizations you'd like to be a part of, right? That is where the whole benefit to you joining this program would be. Ramesh says, thank you.
And I think, like I mentioned at the start, right, the question that we asked, how many of you are aware of data science opportunities in the market and in your own company, right? So it's very easy for you to get a transition into a data science role within your company because you have that rapport, that you are a, hardworking person and you have been working really well. And when you show a credible certificate or, even a master's from a credible university, they really see you as someone who is ready to learn and do well in this field, right? And that helps you a lot, along with some proof of concepts and a few projects, and that is a ticket for you to get a role into your own company, right? And if you're fed up of your company, obviously you can apply outside too. But yeah, the easiest is getting a role in your own company, right?
Got it. Thank you. Sunil is asking, do we need a certain percentage of marks in graduation? What's the admission process? Sunil, it depends on which program you're asking for, master's, executive, or advanced certification. Ojas, if you're on call, you'd like to take that question.
Yeah, so in graduation, you would need to have 50%, a minimum 50% of marks to apply. But again, as Medha answered, the criteria depends on the program you want to opt for. So if you are opting for certification program, the criteria would be somewhat less. So you can check on the admissions email which is given and details would be forwarded to you.
So Sunil, the typical way of our admission process is you first apply on the portal on the particular program. Once your application is reviewed internally, you move on to the next step of giving a test. It's a short test for our data science and machine learning programs. Once you clear the test, and then you are led to make, you will be enrolled into the program, and you can make the payment for the program. For the certification programs, we do not have a certain percentage that's needed. So certifications, you can have whatever percentage in your graduation and still do the program. For the masters, the university requires you to have 50% in your graduation, which is at least 2 on 4 GPA, if I were to say that correctly. All right.
I can see some questions on the chat as well. So Sailesh, you asked which of the data science programs are recognized in USA for job opportunities. So needless to say, we have the UOA, University of Arizona program, right? Which we are partnered with UOA, right? So I think if you are in the US looking for a US based program, Needless to say, I think that's the best one for you, right? Very relevant for the country as well. Hemant had a question. He wanted to know more details about ASU.
It's University of Arizona. I think.
Yeah, okay, again, yeah, ASU is a different one. So yeah, I think again, so Medha, they can direct questions to admissions at upgrad for
Yeah.
more details on the UOA program. Yeah, so Hemant, if you can write to admissions at upgrad, you'll get all the further finer details on the UOA program.
All right, I just wrote down the email ID. That's the email ID you can write to. And I think what Hemant is trying to ask is if you could repeat what is exactly being covered in the whole program. I think 24 months. Costa was talking about how the program is rich with a lot of capstones to evaluate your progress, and it's also very deep into quite a few concepts. Costa, could you just talk about those concepts again?
Sure. So basically, the 24-month is divided into 10 courses, right? Right. And each course is sort of having, so out of those, so each course is having 3 credits, right? And each course, one course out of that is for capstones. So capstone, there is a capstone at the end of each year. And each course has an exam as well as assignment and a case study, right? So you get 2 sort of industry relevant assignment of sorts in each course, right? And a capstone. So a capstone at the end of each year, and each year you have multiple options of capstones to choose from. So during those 24 months, you have 2 capstones and multiple options for capstones during those 2 durations, right? But after the program ends, right, you can get access to all the capstones, right? So that's there. And with respect to the sort of topics that we are covering, right from basics, the toolkit that's required, R, Python, SQL, then moving on to the basics of statistics, right, and visualization and exploratory data analysis, then classical ML, then advanced ML, going into big data and Spark and Hive and Hadoop, right, doing all these ML algorithms, implementing them on Spark ML, then moving on to some of the other things that are required for a data engineer, like NoSQL databases and advanced SQL, right? Then we move on to some more advanced data science stuff, ML stuff, right? Deep learning, computer vision, right? NLP, transformers within that, right? BERT, GPT-3, all these are sort of covered. And towards the end, we have a very interesting course on AI ethics. That's something that is not covered in any of the other programs, right? Because as you grow, right, you need to be very ethical of how you use the model to predict what and how you use the data. You have to be really conscious and maintain privacy for the people who are using your application, and you have to store that data very privately, right? You have to mask it and don't use just very carelessly, right? That causes a lot of problems, which you might have seen with respect to Facebook, right? So yeah.
Thank you for that, Kaustav. Yogesh is asking, can you shift from a master's program of machine learning to data science while pursuing the program?
Yeah, I'll take that with her. So Yogesh, the question is sort of, it can be done, but see, the program is divided into phases. So if you complete a phase of executive program in DS, that is data science, then you apply for masters in machine learning. That is possible, but only if your profile is relevant and your topic of thesis, which is the topic, the area of research which you are doing is very much relevant to machine learning, then your profile and research topic can be forwarded to the university, and on the subject of approval, it can be approved. The program transfer can be approved, but it's not a simple one-way process. If you do a data science, I would suggest you go into data science and the program can be taken accordingly. So the shift is possible, but after a phase is completed of the particular program.
Yeah. So we have had such situations in the past, and we have been able to do that. But like Ojas said, it's subject to approval, and it can only be done once you complete the executive program, right? Before the thesis phase starts.
Okay, Kiran has a question. During the course through online or classroom mode, would there be a difference in career opportunities? Okay. No, Kiran. So, see, end of the day, all of us here are working professionals. So you do come across with some prior work experience, right? And any career opportunity you'll get access to. There's no differentiation in terms of whether you will be eligible or not eligible, right? End of the day, what really matters is your prior experience. That is one. Second, your background. Third, obviously, which course you pick and how well you do in the course, right? And it's about you cracking that particular interview and that process. So otherwise, at least in our experience over the years, we have not seen any such hard line of differentiation. More to do with the fact that, I mean, online is the future, right? So we don't have any recruiters differentiating between offline learners and online learners. I hope I answered your question.
And to add to that, right, all the so if you're doing a master's, right, the degree that you get never doesn't specify anywhere that it's an online degree of any sort, right? It's the degree that you'll get when you're doing on campus. So that way the recruiter also is not able to sort of differentiate whether you are an online or an offline learner. So that differentiation doesn't happen.
Thank you for that. All right, I don't see more questions on the Q&A box. If there's any more questions, we're here to answer them. Do write to us at admissions@upgrad.com for any questions that were unanswered in this session. And do revisit our website if you want more details on any of the programs that were discussed here, or feel free to ask any questions related to the curriculum, the way that the program is designed, or the learning experience. You've got the heads here on call today, and very easy to catch hold of them now and get your queries answered.
Yeah. Please go ahead. Ask any questions that you have in mind, because
I think Shailesh was asking about, can we get access to alumni in that particular country? I think he's from the US. Shailesh, do write to us at admissions, and we'll be able to help you with the profiles which are relevant to you. So if you want, you can also give a link to your LinkedIn profile while you're writing to us at admissions@upgrad.com, and we'll help you with the most relevant profiles, so that you can have a word with them, understand how their experience was, and move on from there. When are these courses starting? Shailesh is asking. So we start at the end of each month. We're starting with the batch on 30th September. The next batch is on 30th November. So that's the way we'll start the course. And there's a certain, I think overall you'll get different assignments that are due every date. So you can definitely club it in the beginning of the program of the week that you're studying in, and plan your week accordingly. Ganga raised her hand. For any of you you're raising your hand, please type your question. I think that'll be great. If you want me to unmute you, I'll just hold on to it till all the chat questions are answered. Sunil is saying, I'm working in networking comp. How will it benefit me as DS? I think I'm not understanding the question correctly.
Yeah, so it's a networking related to computer networks, or is it a LinkedIn sort of networking company?
Are you trying to ask how the data science program will help you in your current role, or you transitioning? I think just rephrase that question for us.
Can we have him? Can we allow him to talk? I think that should help, right?
Yeah, I think we can do that. Yep. Go ahead, Sunil. I'll take Ganga after that.
Hey,
yes. Thank you, upgrade team. Actually, I'm working in the networking field as a computer networking.
Okay.
In the pre-sales field, means like you can say Cisco product and all. and the cabling and all those things, providing connectivity to IoT and Wi-Fi devices. And
Okay.
but I'm thinking how it will help me if I'll join the data science course.
Right. So
Actually,
yeah,
earlier I did a short-term course from IIT Kanpur.
okay.
Which I like that one. So now I'm thinking to have it kind of proper certificate, 1 year kind of.
Got it. That's interesting. So let me just take an example. So probably one of the Wi-Fi's that you're working with, right?
Yes.
You must be working with Wi-Fi's and other such devices, right? So
Yeah, all devices, CCTV, Wi-Fi, sensors, and all.
Right.
We are able to connect. But my profile is as of now to provide connectivity.
Right. Got it. So you must be having a lot of IoT data, right? So
yes.
So if you have IoT data, you have a lot of data to work with, and you can do a lot of things with it. Like for example, if you're getting these data from sensors for a particular device, you can use that data to predict when that particular device is going to fail, right? So if you're able to predict that within next 15 days, this device is going to fail, then you can do a preventive maintenance of that device, or probably replace that device, right? And then repair it at your end, right? So that is one such use case. One other use case might be, which is in cyber security probably, right, is predicting if something that is there on your network will attack your network or not, right? So that's something else. But predictive maintenance and so even in Wi-Fi's, right, some of the very advanced Wi-Fi's, they have these automatic controlling the packets that they send, the size of packets that they send, right? And that is in some places run by ML algorithms, right? If there are not many users that are using the Wi-Fi, there it reduces the the capacity, right? Because a lot of Wi-Fi's are connected to the same source from where the internet is coming, right? So all that thing are different use cases. We have covered one of predictive maintenance in our program, but any data science concept that you learn, you can find use cases to apply, right? And that's something that you learn in the program.
So in the data science, let's say after finishing the course, I'll get all. Suppose I have all the data. How I'll utilize it means after finishing the course, will I able to get data in proper format? I will give example. Like I'm thinking, let's say I have a cameras, and now we have lots of camera. I want to put that key. Once I'll put that, I'll recognize the guy. Who's the guy? But with this course, it is going to happen. With AI course, is going to happen, or some machine learning on those courses. How is different between AI, ML, and data science? That is my doubt. Last, which one I have to choose and which is better?
Right. So first difference, which I would say, is the AI ML course requires more programming understanding, right? So you should take that if you are very familiar with programming and you have the confidence that you'll be able to do that 24 hours a day. Just an overstatement, but yeah, 24 hours. But yeah, very fluent with programming. The other thing is in data science, we have different specializations. So the DL specialization definitely covers the face recognition part or face detection part, which you have talked about, right? The thing in ML is the DL content, which is there in data science, is also there in ML AI program. Plus there is NLP content. Plus there is ML ops content. Plus cloud, right? So all of these are there in ML, and these are sort of divided into different specialization within DS. So at a time in DS, you'll only learn one of these, right? So it's a relatively easier program, but once you complete the DS program, you'll have access to all this content, right? So that's the difference between the two programs. Right? Within 1 year, you will learn a lot in ML, but only if you are able to cope up with it. You learn less in DS, but post the program, you have access to all of it, right? So you'll be able to do it after the program. It's just taking a little longer to learn the same thing, right?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for asking that question, Sunil. Thanks for answering it at length. Kaustubh, I will take one last question from Ganga. Ganga, you can speak. speak. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, I have the song.
Feel free to ask a question.
Hello.
Hello. Ganga, we can hear you. What's your question?
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah.
So it is my first time I'm going to pay this money for this
Okay.
networking. So I want to know what is the benefit of this networking for me.
Benefit of which program?
It's my first time. I'm going to. It's my first time.
Okay, first time you are coming to an online.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Meera, you want to take that up? How is it going to benefit
Yeah.
doing an online program?
So the whole thing that I talked about, Ganga, right? You are getting exposure to great peers, great industry mentors. So everything that you're learning will be applicable to the industry you want to work in. So if there's a particular sector you want to work in, let's take you really want to work in Amazon and Microsoft in the capacity of a data scientist or a data analyst or a machine learning engineer, right? Now just all of us think, oh, how can I make the cut to those companies? They're too high end. They'll only take people from the best universities in the world, and I will never be able to get a cut. So doing these courses, actually learning the whole thing hands on, will help you understand how things are actually happening in the industry. Doing a lot of live projects will help you understand how a problem is analyzed, how a problem is solved. How do you actually also have some understanding of programming languages, right? Because there's like Kaustubh was mentioning, there is a programming preparatory programming course right at the beginning of the master's program in LJMU. So that's something you can once you do it, you learn so much that can be applied in the industry. So just be clear on where you want to go, and just having that outcome associated, having clarity on that outcome associated with you, you'll be able to decide which is the course you should take to achieve that goal.
Okay.
Awesome. That's it.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for sticking till the end. Do give us a thumbs up in the chat. Do give us a sort of a rating if you like the session, if you found it informative, if you'd like us to continue doing this and keep answering your questions. Thanks, Kiran. And do write to us at admissions@upgrad for any queries that you wanted to ask but couldn't. So that's definitely an avenue which is always open. Thank you, Kaustubh, Shashwat, Abhinav, and Ojas for sticking along and answering all the queries of all the learners.
Pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this. Hope we've answered all your questions. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining.
Have a good evening. See you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.